Welcome to the den, everyone, and I'm going to talk about what makes the Dan Campbell regime different than the other ones, and what makes them different. So I was gone for a while, guys. I might be in and out for this week as well. I'm Wednesday, Thursday might be days I'm not here, but I should be back and going with the rest of you guys. And I'm pumped. I want to talk about why I think this regime is different. So I was watching the G's stream the other day. I think it was episode 75, and we were not ranked above, in the 7 coaches by CBS. And Lions fans say it's the Lions, and that's why we're going to suck. I want to talk about why I think this is different. And not just via drafts or why we're building a Super Bowl team, why I think Dan Campbell is different than Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell, and Matt Patricia. Jim Schwartz, let's go over his career at the Lions. 29-51, 1 winning season. That's pretty dang bad. I really don't know how you can excuse it. So what went wrong with Jim Schwartz? I mean, the guy had just about everything that you could really want. He had an experienced offensive coordinator in Scott Linehan, experienced guy in Gunther Cunningham. So he had the experience part down plus himself. What happened? The answer is he didn't bring in good staff. This is guys. If we go to Scott Linehan, this is him right here, right? Yep, Scott Linehan got it perfectly down. 2005 Miami Dolphins. This is when he was last time he was offensive coordinator before joining Jim Schwartz. 16th ranked offense. That's not that good. It's really in the middle of the NFL. It's average. His time with the Rams as their head coach, he had the 10th ranked offense. That's pretty dang cool. 2006, 2007, 28th. 2008, 30th. Not good. And his offense was led by Greg Olsen. So what happened? Why wasn't there success? Because even when he fired the new offensive coordinator, the team was still bad. He got fired mid-season. So what happened? The answer was he didn't bring in good staff. Gunther, this guy didn't have a below top 10. His best defense was top 10. I mean, I really just don't get it. 16th. 11. 14. 29. It's either regression or not elite yet. Maybe good, but not elite. He never brought in these guys who had this high-end potential. So then let's move on to Jim Caldwell. If I can find him. Jim Caldwell had Joe Lombardi and Terrell Austin. This time it was inexperience. Joe Lombardi had no experience as an offensive coordinator. As we know, he was so bad he only lasted 2 seasons with the Lions. Despite the fact that because look at this, the amazing 2014 season, 22nd ranked offense. The 2014 11 win season that had Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate and Reggie Bush. How is that possible? I really don't understand it. And then what about then Caldwell even brought in assistant head coach Ron Prince. Who was nothing. He was an offensive coordinator at Rutgers. He didn't have any experience being an assistant head coach, or even a tight ends coach in the NFL level. For that matters. At best, he was an assistant offensive line coach in Indianapolis. And then, of course, he had Terrell Austin. His time in the NFL, was a defensive backs coach. He was never a defensive coordinator. He was filled with inexperience. The only experience he had was himself. The top 3 guys. He ended up, yes, having some experiences in college, but college and the NFL are way different things. So then you may say, but analytic. What are you talking about? The Lions have inexperience too. But there's a difference between what we have. Anthony Lynn has led top offenses in his career. He had some good offenses in LA. He had top 10 offense. Look at Anthony Lynn real quick. If we go to Anthony Lynn, his time in Buffalo, Buffalo Bills 20. Was it 2015? That's when he said, right? 2015. He had the 12th ranked offense and moved it up to 10th. But also, he made Tyrod Taylor good. He's been around good offenses. He's had experience. He even has interim head coach experience. He has head coach experience. Look at Tyrod Taylor real quick. Tyrod Taylor, ESPN. So this works for us. I'm sorry that for those people say I'm not scripted. I am scripted. It's just I can only have so many tabs up at once without that being slow. Since he left Anthony Lynn in 2016, and since he left Buffalo in general, he hasn't done anything. Cleveland, he had 5.6 yards per throw, 5.5. Played 2 games and that was it. He hasn't been a meaningful player since leaving Lynn. And he had one of the best touchdown pick ratios in football. If we go to Phillip Rivers, the same thing happens. He only has 1 bad season under Anthony Lynn in 2019. But he also cut down his pick numbers. He went from 21 to 10 to 12 and 20 to 11 again. He cut down the picks and he even had one of his better seasons in 2018. Anthony Lynn is obviously a good quarterbacks coach. He even had the amazing year from Justin Herbert last year. He's the same guy that also made Austin Eckler a pretty viable running back last year. Now undrafted running back. Anthony Lynn's experienced and has had good players in offenses continue to come and grow. But also, here's what I think makes the team different. When we had Schwartz, we had nothing but experience. But they didn't have talent. Didn't have lots of success. Lynn's been to the playoffs as a head coach. In a pretty tough division. He's led top 10 offenses as well. Aaron Glenn. But here's what comes to moving on to Aaron Glenn. I don't believe you should have a fully experienced team. I also believe you need to have some youth. But you also need to back up that youth with experience. Aaron Glenn has developed amazing players in New Orleans. In New Orleans, he developed the likes of Marshawn Lattimore and Marcus Williams. It is crazy. The biggest thing about Glenn is he's had that success, but also the Lions brought in guys who are experienced defensive coordinators. Don Capers was a defensive coordinator for the Packers for a long time. Todd Wash, defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, even for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And started with, I think, Seattle Seahawks for a bit. He has experience around him to help him coach. That's pretty dang fantastic. We got youth with Deuce Staley has experience as an assistant head coach. He was assistant head coach in Philly. Dan Campbell has guys who have been head coaches as well to help him develop. Guys like Anthony Lynn. I feel like that's pretty dang impressive. The fact that he actually has got his experience all over, but we also have youth all over. Aubrey Pleasant has experience as a secondary coach. Ben Johnson has a year under his belt as a Titans coach. Hank Fraley has experience. That team has experience but youth. Glenn, first year. Dan Campbell, first year. That's the difference between these past regimes. We have youth and experience, but most importantly, motivation. For those, there's all these like Jim Caldwell fans. Jim Caldwell did not motivate his players. I got a meme that perfectly sums up Jim Caldwell's time in Detroit. That man showed no emotion on the field. Emotion brings players to be motivated. I think just being emotionless, not doing anything, being quiet on the sideline won't do anything. But Dan Campbell's also brought himself a good staff. He has the X's and O's. The man has brought in players. He's working with players. He's both an alpha, but he's also a guy who will listen to others. So he's unlike Schwartz, who's this hothead guy who's just going to cause crap. Campbell doesn't. Unlike Matt Patricia was the big giant X and O's guy. Just like Jim Schwartz, those two were supposed to be these defensive gurus. The X and O's led these top defenses and failed. The difference is, Campbell is a guy who's brought in a bunch, not just himself. Each regime only brought themselves. Jim Caldwell only brought himself. Jim Schwartz only brought himself. Dan Campbell brought in success with him. It's just the truth. This is completely different. Dan Campbell has started off extremely hot. He's drafting right. He's not overpaying for free agents. Bob Quinn overpaid for Trey Flowers. He overpaid for Jesse James. He overpaid for Big V. He drafted busts after time and time again, such as Tease Tabor and Jared Davis. Jim Caldwell couldn't draft to save his life. Jim Schwartz couldn't bring in good free agents. The best free agent I can remember him bringing in was Nate Burleson. And I think Steven Tolik, but he never brought in an elite free agent. Jim Caldwell could only bring in free agents. Patricia couldn't do that great at both. But what does Campbell do? He brings in players who are good in both aspects. He brings in the top tackle in Ben Sewell. He drafts two good D linemen. He drafts a good corner. He drafts a good receiver. He drafts a good linebacker. He signs free agents on cheap deals who can make a good impact, such as Tyrell Williams and Jamal Williams. He continues to do well, and I'm very excited to see what will happen. That's all my video for the rest of today, guys. I will see you later.